and welcome to episode 7 of 5 with Phrase. Now, today's guest walks into the studio with a perfect record, 10 fights and 10 wins. This person is a world champion, as an amateur, a youth Olympic champion, and I could go on, but there's even more accolades I promise I'll speak about. Now, giving away a little bit about my age, this person has been taught by Mr. Walker, and my mum made me promise I would say this, was one of her best ever library leaders. I welcome Caroline Dubois. How are you doing, Caroline?
I'm very well, thank you. Now you just baited me out to be in a bookworm, but that's okay.
There's nothing wrong with it. I like reading.
No, that's cool.
Now, there was so many more accolades, but I need to know. My mum's pressing me. Which one are you most proud of so far?
Oh, you put pressure on me now.
I'm putting pressure on you.
I guess I have to say being the library leader was pretty up there, in my top 3 for sure.
Oh, love it. She would not stop talking about that now. But no, thank you so much for coming in. And this one's obviously a bit special because you were in the first ever year group that I taught when I started way back when.
I know, it's a crazy throwback, but it's mad to think how far we've both come. It's pretty impressive to see you doing this as well, and so yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. So, as you know, we start with some icebreakers just to ease you into it, and then we've got the 5 questions, and then we end with a sign off. How are we feeling? We all right?
Yeah, I'm feeling good.
Hopefully better than you got some sprints later.
Oh God, don't even remind me. I'm gonna just be popping the coffee, something to wake me up. It's dreading it.
Well, hopefully this one goes all right.
Yeah.
So, first question. You can listen to one song and one song only for the next year. What song do you pick?
It's hard. That's a very hard question. I would say it would have to be, I like A Rose Is Still a Rose by Aretha Franklin.
Classic.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't see that one coming.
Yeah, throw a little spanner in there. I think the message is very beautiful. The singing is beautiful, and yeah, it's got a great beat.
That's a good choice.
Yeah.
I go J. Cole, Love Yours, I think. It's my alarm.
That's a really good song.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a very good song.
I go that one. I thought you was gonna take it. But no, 2 good songs. Right, similar sort of question. You can only eat one meal for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And again, it's for a year.
Okay.
What do you pick?
I would have I would say it would be rice and peas, mixed salad with curry goat maybe. Yeah.
That's a good choice.
It's good.
That's a good choice.
Good. Yeah.
Got some variety. In
Yeah,
there as well.
keep it healthy, keep it clean. Good carbs, good protein.
Yeah, that's the trading in you.
Yeah.
That's the trading in you.
I can't take. You can take the girl out of the gym. You know what they say.
I think I go. It's gonna be so obvious. I'm going like a Nando's meal.
Oh,
I think I could do it.
Nando's.
Yeah, I think I could
That
do
is
it.
disappointing.
What?
That
You don't
is
like
disappointing.
Nando's?
Nando's is like a C minus. Like if you're thinking of something healthy-ish, but it's a solid hit, but it's not very good.
I'm going Nando's.
I've got to say how it is. It's not the best.
Chicken thighs, well done. I'm good.
Ugh.
I'm good. I can't believe that. Nando's. You've hurt my
You don't
feelings.
cook, do you?
No.
I can tell.
Do you know what? I could do the basics. I could do the basics.
Tell. I feel like people who can't cook like Nando's, and I'm not even trying to be disrespectful, but you can do so much better. You can do so much better.
You know what? For the price, for what you get, I'm quite happy. I can cook the basics. So a good chicken salad. Chicken fajita mix. No, I don't enjoy it. I'll be honest. Do you like cooking?
Yeah, I like cooking. The only depressing thing is I don't like cooking when I can't eat good, like, because I'm on a diet right now. There's nothing more depressing than not being able to eat like what you want to eat. So I always go for meal preps when I'm in camp. But as soon as camp is over, I'll be back to cooking nice food.
What's that like first meal like after? Like, what does it feel like after a fight?
See, straight after a fight, I don't know why, but maybe it's the adrenaline. I can't eat. And I really struggle to eat for the first week. But then after that, the appetite settled down, the adrenaline is evened out, and I can eat anything. I like Caribbean food. I like anything with good meat, good flavors. lots of good seasoning. I don't like to eat too much sugary stuff, but I love ice cream. I think that's the one thing that gets me every time. Ice cream is the best, and yeah,
Everyone keeps talking about dairy. Everyone comes on this podcast and talks about
it's
dairy.
ice cream. It has to be.
I'm
It's the
lactose
best.
intolerant.
Oh,
Yeah, I know,
that's
but I risk it.
That's
I
depressing.
risk
Nah,
it.
I couldn't do with that.
Ben and Jerry's sometimes think
Oh,
of it.
it's the Haagen-Dazs is even better. Salt caramel or strawberry cheesecake.
Like a salted caramel.
It's very good.
Right, last icebreaker. Okay, this one is every single time you walk into a room, would you rather sing your way in or dance your way in? You walk into a room with new people, which one? What's your opener?
I think you could style out dancing your way. Like you could make it a subtle dance, you can make it a big dance. You can if you're got in a really nice outfit, you could do a little tutu step. It looks cool, right? Maybe singing. I don't know if I've got the right tune and the archives to pull it off all the time. So
You got the dance in you. You got to have a bit of rhythm.
I feel like you can just pull it off. Like a dance, you can pull off. You can make it subtle, a little shoulder shrug, or you can do something big, depending on. And it just looks like it catches people's eyes, but it's not too much. I feel like a dance, yeah.
I've got no rhythm and no singing voice.
Abilities.
It's a tough one.
It's hard, isn't it?
I think two-step, play it safe. Two-step, play it safe.
You can you can play it off.
Singing just hurts. Will hurt everyone. Hurt everyone. Yeah. No, two-step. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Right, how you feeling? Settled in?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going into our questions now. Question number 1 is about a 24-hour period, so a day from your past that you would love to relive exactly as it happened without changing a thing.
I feel like it's a hard question. I think because looking back at my life, there's nothing really that I would want to go back to too much. But if it came to shove, I would say when I was 9 and I first walked into the boxing gym, the feelings, the emotions, and be able to see the whole experience from a third person. So it's one thing to be in it, and it's another thing to look at it and watch myself and the highs of lows of getting into the gym, walking into the gym, and the emotion of finally getting that opportunity. It would be nice to relive and see again.
And what was it like walking into the gym for the first time?
It was crazy because I remember I'd been asking my dad every Saturday because there was a Repton Amateur Boxing Club was the club that I was at, and every Saturday they would have like a nursery for anyone under like 11, anyone who wasn't carded. And I was 9 years old at the time, so he was going to take me to that. And he was like, okay, finally, I'll take you. Every Saturday would come, he would say, I'll take you. And then Saturday would come and go, and it just never happened. And then I kept asking. And finally, the day came, and he was like, all right, I'll take you. And the thing was, the Repton was a boys' boxing club. And so I couldn't go because I was a girl, and we had to think about a way of how to make it happen. And I guess in his mind, he was thinking about how is this going to work. And then the day came, and I was like, I'm not going to take you. And then I cried, I had a tantrum, I was like, this is what I wanted. And I think he saw the passion and the feeling that this was for real. I wasn't just saying it, I wasn't just trying to follow my brother, I was for real being serious. And so he took me. He's like, all right, we're gonna take you. And on the way, he was like, this is a boys' boxing club. We're gonna have to say that you're a boy. And I was like, I didn't know if he was being serious because he was kind of saying it in a jokey manner, and I wasn't sure if he was being for real. So we turn up at the gym, and I walk in, and I'm like, whoa, it's for real, serious. There was a serious atmosphere. There was a serious intensity. I did running, gymnastics, and swimming, and every time you go into those, there's like a light-hearted, this is the kids, let's, enjoy this. But walking into Repton, it was a very different atmosphere. There's kids on the punch bag, kids getting screamed at by the coaches. It was a very different atmosphere, and I remember walking in, there was no women, there was no mums around. It was all dads. There was only one mum. And and I just remember thinking, okay, so maybe he was telling the truth because there's no girls, there's no women. So we walk in, the coach comes up to me and he's like, what's your name? And I'm like, I say Caroline. But I say it so quietly. I'm like, oh crap, is this for real? And he's like, Caroline. And he's like, what? He leans in and I'm like, Colin. And then that's how it started. I just became Colin for like the next 6 months at that gym. I used to train, spar, And it just kicked off from there. Like, I remember walking into the gym and thinking, how could anyone not want to box? Even though the atmosphere was so serious, I just really enjoyed it. The smell of the leather, the ring, it was really high up. At Repton, they have a really high up ring, and the feeling that whenever you spar, people have to stop and watch you. It's a very like single individual feeling, and I loved everything about it.
That's an incredible story.
I think
No, I did know that you had to pretend
to be a boy.
to be a boy. What was that like? Like keeping
So,
that up? How long did you keep it up for?
So we kept it up for like, I would say, I can't remember exactly, but I would say about 6 months. My mom used to braid my hair in cane rows, and that's how we would get away with it. And obviously I was like prepubescent, so I didn't have any telling features, and it's a bit upsetting now that I think about it. they thought I was a boy, but it worked. We would come in, I would train, and I remember my dad was like, don't smile, don't do anything. But it was funny because every time he would call me, he would always say Caroline. And I'm surprised none of them caught on to it because my name was supposed to be Colin. And he would always be like, Caroline, come over here, or Caroline, do this. But yeah, we did that. I remember the first time I ever sparred, getting into the ring, I was so excited. The whole night before, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to spar on tomorrow. I was so excited. And I remember the first spar I ever had, I beat the kid out, I made him cry. It was just like moments like that, like a first for a lot of things. First time getting ready for the gym, first time sparring, first time getting a gum shield, first time, climbing into the ring. There's a lot of firsts happening in that gym.
Yeah, sounds like a very exciting.
It was, I was full on Mulan era, full on,
Mulan,
literally.
Mulan.
I was feeling it. I was like, this is the awesomest, the best thing ever. So yeah.
It must have been like giving you a bit of like extra firepower, knowing that I'm mixing it with the boys here.
Yeah. And I still do. I spar boys a lot more, and I think a lot of female athletes, especially boxers and I would say martial artists or whatever, they have to compete and train with the boys, because when you train people who are naturally bigger, stronger, faster than you, you're only going to improve, you're going to speed up to have to get to their level. And one thing that I would say attribute to the skill that I have now is the fact that a lot of times I would train and sparring with the boys, and I don't think I sparred a girl until I was like 13 years old. And that was all the way from 9. So a long time of just constantly mixing it with the boys, sparring the boys, hitting the bag with the boys, running with the boys, and I think it brought me on, yeah.
And then, so what did it look like? So after 6 months, did you move gyms?
So what happened was, when you're a kid, before you get carded, you're training and everything, and then they get you a skills bout or a fight. And they wanted to get me a skills bout, I think it was, but you have to get a medical, and the doctor comes, checks you out, checks you're healthy. And obviously that wasn't going to fly, so we just had to dip real quick. And we went to another gym. We went to Del Youth, which was where unfortunately Grenfell Tower was. But at the time, it was just underneath Grenfell Tower. We went there, and we had to tell straight away from the off that, I was a girl. Because we didn't want to run into the same problems. And at first, the coach at the time, Gary McGuinness, he was apprehensive. There was no female boxing, no Olympics, nothing. And he was like, okay, this isn't going to work. Who's she going to train with? Who's she going to spar with? My dad was like, she spars with the boys, she trains with the boys, ain't going to be a problem. He's like, all right, let me watch her spar and then we'll go from there. We sparred and he was like, wow, she's very good. Come in next week. And it just rolled on from there.
Right. So just to take you back, you've walked into this gym for the first time. What's like your favorite memory from that time? Do you have one that sticks out to you? Or like, I did that.
I think it would be my first spar, or just the walking in. I just remember walking in, and Repton was the color was green. Everything was green on the inside. I just remember seeing everything being green. The ring was massive, especially because I was a little kid. It was even bigger than what it felt like now. It was I just remember the feeling of looking at that ring, the way it took up center stage. Took up the whole space of the gym. It's a massive ring. And I just remember thinking, wow, I'm going to get in that ring and I'm going to spar. And people are going to have to all stop and watch me. And that feeling of being center stage, being important was a very, very good feeling. And I think it will help me grow with my confidence and feeling like, I have value and I have, importance.
Nice. Have you been back since?
Yeah, so we came back to the gym. We kept trying to go back after I left, but the coach at the time, Bobby Beck, he was very old school, very strict. And at the time, I was European champion, Youth Olympic champion, world champion as an amateur, and he wouldn't let me back because I was a girl. And for a very, very long time, he was very, very stubborn, very stuck in his way. Eventually, he ended up leaving, and after then, we came back to the gym. But by then, I was about 16, 17, so yeah. Took a while to
Long
get
time.
back. Yeah.
And what was it like going back?
It was good. It was good. You know, I kept sparring with the boys. That wasn't a problem. And one Repton at the time was one of the best gyms. You know, and it still is very high esteemed. It always produces very good champions. It was continually producing Olympians and people who end up pushing on and making good careers for themselves. So definitely one of the best gyms to start at.
Nice. So, question number 2 is about you're allowed to go back to one moment from your past and tell a younger Caroline one thing. Where would you go to and what would you say?
I'll go to the Olympics. I remember I made it to the quarterfinals and I was fighting for a medal. If I won that fight, I would have got a bronze medal. And for me, it was such an interesting experience and it was such a bittersweet experience. Like I said, when I started, there was no Olympics. So even though I was boxing, I kind of didn't really know what I was going to do and where I was going to go. I was thinking of turning pro. Layla Ali was the only female fighter I knew at the time. So turning pro, but she was so much older than me, I couldn't really relate. And then 2012 happened. The Olympics happened. Women were in the Olympics. Katie Taylor came about. One of the best fights I've ever seen was Katie Taylor and Natasha Jonas. And I remember the noise. It was the loudest noise that the Copper Box had recorded for the whole tournament. And then watching Clarissa Shields, she was an Olympic gold medalist. Watching Nicola Adams, Olympic gold medalist, I was like, that's it, that's what I'm going to do. I want to go to the Olympics. So ever since I was 11 years old, making it to the Olympics was the only thing that mattered to me. Coming to school, I remember thinking, I liked school, I liked certain subjects, but I care about the Olympics. I care about boxing. That was the only focus. I would literally go in and out like a tunnel thinking about boxing and what it was going to take for me to get to the Olympics. Finally left school, got on the GB team full time, and it was preparing for the Olympics. That was the only thing that mattered to me. Like I dedicated everything. I dieted, and I used to struggle at the weight, and there was so many obstacles that happened. COVID happened. I put on a lot of weight during COVID. Getting back down to the fighting weight was a massive challenge, but I had to do that. I remember going, because I used to struggle with the weight so much, we would train 3 times a day when I was in the GB team. And I remember coming back and stepping on the scales and the numbers weren't adding up or showing me numbers that I needed to be seeing. And so whenever people weren't training, after everyone had finished their sessions and stuff and 3 sessions were done, you know, I would put on a sweatsuit and I'll go out and run for an extra hour. I'd do whatever it took to make it happen. Sometimes I would just cry because it was so hard and I felt like very alone doing the whole process. So going to the Olympics was a very important thing for me, and the only thing I cared about was winning gold. Like I didn't even think about bronze and silver. It was just gold or nothing for me. I wanted to have that Clarissa Shields moment. I wanted to have that Katie Taylor moment. I wanted that Nicola Adams moment. And going into the quarterfinals, it didn't happen. And I remember just crying. I felt broken. I couldn't sleep for I would say about 3 months after that. Like I was really over. Like I was destroyed. I couldn't believe it. I remember standing in the center of the ring and the referees announcing the decision. It was a very close fight. And the girl won it 3-2, so that means 3 judges thought she won, 2 thought I won. And it was on a like very close 29-28, so 1 round in it. Very, very close. And I remember standing in the center thinking, God, don't do this to me. Don't do it. Like I've given everything for this. Every single thing I've given my whole soul. And it didn't go my way. And it was such a horrible moment. I was destroyed after that. And I would go back to that moment and I would probably give myself a hug and tell myself that it's the process that matters. Like you've taught yourself so much. You've given yourself so much strength, and it's what's going to help you in the long run. Like the whole process leading up to the Olympics, I felt like I did it alone. You know, I didn't have the help of my dad. My dad stopped helping me at that point. I felt like I was putting in so much extra work on my own, and I was making a lot of mistakes at the same time. Like I feel like if I had the knowledge that I had now, I would have definitely won it. I would have definitely had the experience of making the weight correctly, the experience of knowing that I'm good enough to win this, so you can do it. And I would have started quicker, the fight, etc., all these things. But I would not know that if I hadn't gone through that process. And it was a bittersweet moment because it taught me to be independent. It taught me that if you want something bad enough, you gotta work extra for it. It taught me that, like, a lot. It taught me a lot, and I'll go back and I'll tell myself that I'm proud of myself. You did a good job. You came so close, but just because you didn't quite make it doesn't mean that you shouldn't give up. You just gotta keep pushing, and it's gonna happen. You're just gonna have that. It's gonna happen if you keep knocking at the door's gonna open eventually. And it was a very horrible moment, but looking back at it, I think it was happened for a reason. And I thank God, like, it happened because it taught me a lot. You know, moving out the home, my family home, there's been a lot of moments where I've had to find, like, the inner drive and the inner fire within myself. Like, nobody's going to get me up in the morning. It has to be you. Nobody's going to push you to go to the gym. It has to be you. Your dad's not going to be on your back making sure your diet is good and your training is good. It has to be you. And I wouldn't have been able to do that now if I hadn't had that process of doing it alone then. So it was a very bittersweet moment.
And boxing can be very lonely, innit? And I talk to people about that, like the training, although there's people around you and you're sparring against other people, like you can really feel like it's just you.
I mean, it's an individual sport. Like, obviously with football and a few other things, it's a team sport where you have the team morale. If you're not doing good enough, I'm sure your teammates will pick you up and say, hey, you need to work a little bit harder. You need to push yourself a bit more. Whereas boxing is very individual. If you're not doing good enough, there's going to be someone that's going to take your spot. GB is very, like, I'm not going to say cutthroat, but it's very performance-based. If you're not performing good enough, if you're not on the weight, there's going to be 5 other girls who's ready to take your spot. You know, your spot is not guaranteed. You have to pay rent every single day to stay number one. And if you're not doing good enough, someone else is going to take your spot. So you have to make yourself accountable. You have to hold yourself accountable. And if you want something bad enough, it's you that has to make it happen. And boxing is very much teaches you that lesson very, very brutally. If you're not good enough, trust me, someone else is going to take it from you.
And you spoke about, obviously, your opponent's hand going up at the Olympics and, you know, wanting to be kind to yourself, giving yourself a hug.
Yeah.
But in reality, that didn't happen. So what was going on inside Caroline?
I was devastated. I just remember crying, going back into the change room and just crying. I remember there was a Thailand coach, because it was Thailand that I lost to. And her coach came up to me. He was like, you're so young. You're 19 years old. First senior year. You have not had any experience. Like, you're good enough. Stay on to the Olympic program, and you'll get it next year. The Olympics was gonna happen in Paris. And he was like, stay on. You'll be Olympic champion then. Stay on. And I remember thinking, oh my God, what am I gonna do? I phoned my dad, and I just remember just crying. I was like, I genuinely thought that I wasn't good enough to turn pro, and I thought that I wanted to stay on because for me, the Olympics was the goal. It was the dream. It was the slingshot moment. That was the only thing I cared about. Everything came after. And so I was just having this conversation with him, thinking I wasn't sure if I was good enough. And it was a very harsh moment. I remember when we left, because it was during COVID, the rules and regulations was very strict. We were in Tokyo. As soon as you lose and you lose your tournament, you have to go home the next day. It was usually you stay for however long you wanted, but because it was COVID, they were very strict. They were like, okay, you're out the tournament, you have to go home. And it was very like it was hard because it's like, as soon as you lost, you're out. It was like, oh,
get your bags, get
out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, on one side I wanted to get out, but on another it was like, so it was a lot of like moments like that. And I just remember crying a lot.
But
yeah,
that wasn't the end.
Nah.
Because you sit here world champion now. So we'll go on to, and I think it ties nicely into our next question. My personal favourite is about, and obviously as a boxer, this will be very interesting, like the words power and strength and what those mean to you, maybe professionally and personally.
I guess if you take it in a literal sense, power and strength means your fighting style and the power that you have in the ring and the aura that you have in the ring. when you step in the ring, are your opponents intimidated of you? Does the crowd respect you? When you walk into a room, does everyone kind of look at you? Like sometimes you get that feeling when you walk into a room, everyone just stops and takes notice. And I think power and strength can reflect that, the aura that you carry as a fighter. You know, if you look at fighters like Triple G, Mike Tyson, even modern day fighters, they have that aura, and power and strength could reflect that. Or if you look at it in a different sense, you can think of the power and strength required to step into the ring to even get there, the everyday training required, the everyday discipline required, the inner strength, inner drive, inner will that a fighter needs to make it to the ring.
And what about if we talk about Caroline outside of the ring? Because obviously, I know you spend a lot of your time there, but you're also a human being outside of the ropes. What does power and strength mean to you when you're not trying to knock someone out?
I would say power and strength means to try to be a good person. I always think that being a good person is more important than being a good athlete. I think to continue to strive to find what matters to you, for me, that's God. That's my brothers and sisters with me. That's finding purpose within myself, knowing that it's not boxing that's going to make you a good person. You can be the greatest fighter in the world, but you could still be a bit of a crappy person. And it's the, I guess, the walk that everybody has to have to constantly strive to be a good person, to try to make the good right decisions and to care and to never lose focus of what is important. You know, it takes a lot. It's very easy, I think, for fights and people in the spotlight to lose their head, to get caught up in things that really are not important, to think that the limelight is what's important, to think making money is important. And it is, but it's not the most important thing. It takes a lot of strength and character to stay true to yourself, stay true to your values, your beliefs, your morals, and to hold steadfast to those.
I like that. So let's talk, because I think everyone can pick up, their phones and search you and talk about, look at your boxing record and look at your knockouts and see that side of you. But what makes you tick outside? Like what is important to you? What values? What would you like people to know about you from that side?
I would say that I'm a very family-oriented person. I care about my brothers and sisters. I care about my cousins, my auntie, that I'm reconnected with them, my grandmother, my friends that I have. I don't have many, but the ones that I do have, I try to hold them close. I would say that I'm trying to find my strength in God. I'm trying to find, the right way to live, the morals to stand by. I would say that I'm trying to be a good person. I think that's what people should strive to be. Athlete, that's a job, that's an occupation. It's a hobby. It's a motivation. It's a dream, a goal. But it shouldn't be the only thing that you have and see as value, because then you can become quite cold and selfish, I think. And it's important to always think about like family and other things as well.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, I think you're embodying that by being here today, and every single time Deptford Green, your old school has asked you to show up, you show up.
I try.
And with everything that you've got going on, like, that's a testament to that,
Yeah.
because it would be easy to, do you know what I mean? Say I'm busy, but you make time for the place that you come from, which is like, as someone as young as you, it's easy to, as you said, to get caught up into that world. And how my mum speaks about you and everyone that sort of taught you speaks about you goes to show that you've always been more than that. And we didn't even know, that you boxed. You kept that completely aside.
Yeah, I know. I think for me, going to school, for one, when I went to school, I had no expectations. I was thinking very Matilda. I was thinking very Harry Potter. I generally didn't know what to expect about the whole situation. So when I went there and it turned out completely different, I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed school. It was fun, sometimes a little bit tricky, sometimes a little bit hard. But the thing that I enjoyed most about it was being at home. The only thing that was important was boxing. Like, my dad didn't care about anything else. He didn't care for anything else. It was boxing or nothing. I remember winning a school tournament, bringing back a medal, and he didn't even look at it. He didn't care about it. And I just enjoyed the difference of being at home where boxing was the only thing that mattered to being at school where there are other things to talk about, there were other things to socialize, and kids didn't see me as Caroline Dubois, a boxer. They just saw me as Caroline Dubois, and you had a choice to like me or dislike me. And I had a choice to find what I liked outside of boxing, like reading or drawing and playing instruments, things like that. And it took up more time, and I just enjoyed the being able to be that split personality. Like, you know, it was fun.
And you was obviously, as you said, a reader and quite gifted at school, but you didn't go to primary, did you? So
No,
that was
I didn't.
just jumping into
That was
Deptford
jumping
Green.
straight into secondary school. I think the fact that being at home a lot, I read a lot, so that helped. You know, I had a little bit more. I was able to come to school with a bit. Not like I wasn't that far behind. I caught up very quickly to my peers and students around me. You know, and I think I just, because it was my first experience with school, I really took to it and I really enjoyed it. And while maybe they were fizzling out after primary, I was like fully smack bang, still fresh, wanting to see how much I could learn, like science, never did that before. None of that stuff, biology, maths, didn't do that as extreme as school can be. And it's just a lot of learning. And yeah, I was more open to embracing it.
And how did you find that jump? Like, did you come in and feel like you were behind, or
At first I did, like, you know, I was really good at reading, but other than that, I didn't do any maths at home. I didn't do any science. So I was behind, but I think because I never had been open to it or open to any of that stuff, I was more excited about doing it. You know, a lot of kids were, science, you know what I mean? Whereas I was like, oh, what's this? Biology, chemistry, electrons, neutrons, what's all this stuff? It was more, I wanted to see what it was all about, and learning every day was more of a fun experience for me because of it. And like doing drama and stuff like that, doing art, I enjoyed art, music, stuff like that. There was more stuff that I was open to, and like a blank canvas, I guess.
Now, my experience, obviously I went there a long time ago. My experience at school was like quite an interesting one. You know, you speak about your character and your values. Did you ever feel that was tested at school?
A little bit. Obviously, like I think you can get caught up in school a little bit. You can get caught up in what it is that you want. A lot of kids, I think, school, maybe you think this is gonna be the thing that sets you up in life, and you're gonna have a job or some form of direction that's gonna take you there. Whereas I think from what I've experienced, school is more about socializing and learning how to speak to people your own age, learn how to speak to people older, younger, dealing with times and all that sort of stuff. And because of it, it was the first time being open and surrounded by kids my own age that weren't family. Like they have different ideas of how to be, how to live. They have different ideas of, oh, let's do this, let's do that. And because I was so focused on boxing, even when I was in school, I was like going for a town, I'll go in and I'll go out. And the only thing on my mind was boxing. Everyone around me was like, oh, let's do this at lunchtime. Let's go out after school. Let's do this. Let's do that. Oh, let's get involved in this kind of drama, that kind of drama. There were times where I was like, oh, maybe I should be doing that. Maybe I should be getting caught up in that. But for me, it was a little bit challenging. Like sometimes I found myself being quite lonely because I struggled to open up and communicate with the other kids. But I just remember thinking boxing was important, the Olympics was important, and I just tried to stay as focused on that as I could. Like that was the only thing that mattered to me. But being in school, like you can kind of get caught up in getting caught in drama and stuff. But I didn't really do that, I don't think.
No. And I think, boxing probably obviously was the vehicle to keep you away from all of that stuff. Where I don't think that's the story for
A lot of people.
for all of the young people from our area. But luckily you had that, and it's got you to where you are today.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, we spoke a little bit about the Olympics, but from the outside looking in, your journey is one of almost perfection.
Yeah.
10-0.
Yeah.
World titles.
Mm-hmm.
But question 4 is about maybe a particular moment where things have not gone the way you want it to, and maybe your lowest point, like personally and emotionally, and what that looked like and how you overcome that.
Obviously, the Olympics is one that stands out to me. But I would say recently, another moment was the whole process of where me, my brothers and sisters moved out of my family home. Obviously, I come from a very boxing, well-known family. Daniel Dubois is my brother, and my dad is, I guess, becoming more as a prominent father figure and stuff. And being in that home was very different to what maybe people expect it to be or think that it was. And it became an environment that I had to leave. And it was very obvious to me and my brothers and sisters that we had to get out of it. And so it was a very, I would say, controlling household. And it was hard household to leave because it's the only thing that you know. It's very easy to stay in what you know. Even if it's negative or bad, it's very easy to stay in what you know because it's comfortable. You know, comfortability is it's good, but it can stop people from progressing. And once I was getting on with my boxing career, you know, being in that household was not helping me with my boxing. It wasn't helping me on my mental strength. It wasn't helping me as a person. And it was clear to me that we had to get out of it, you know. And I remember the whole process, even though it was a very negative process and a negative household, I would say, it was still a hard decision to make, you know. Leaving my younger brother Solomon was very hard to do. Even Daniel was hard because growing up, that's all we knew, you know. We didn't go to primary school. Because of that, we were very close. When we did go to primary school, it was very much school is school, but family is what is separate, and it's very hard to separate that. And I remember leaving home and just the whole process of it, and it was very hard to do, you know. Going to the gym the next day, it was myself that had to take myself to the gym. It was myself that had to make sure that I turned up every day, and there was a lot of times where it's very hard and you're thinking about everything that you've left behind, but you have to keep telling yourself that it was for the right thing. It was the correct decision, even though it was a hard decision. It had to be done, and you know, I always tell myself, YOLO, you only live once, and you have to make the most of it. And I think for me, the one thing that really sealed the deal was I kept telling myself was, if I end up failing and my life doesn't turn out the way that I want it to be, and I don't become a successful fighter and everything goes to crap, if there is a moment and this happens, I don't want to be that person who's sitting there angry and bitter and hurting and destroyed inside and saying, the person who is responsible for my failure is X, Y, Z, is this person. And then you come up to me and you say, oh crap, who is this person? Where are they? And I'm like, oh, this person is dead. You know, that moment where it's like, the person that stopped you is just a human being. It's just a person that is going to, you know, eventually die just like you will. And you're going to let this human being, no matter who authority they are, whether it's your father, your mom, your best friend, whoever it is, someone in power or not, you're going to let this human being who's got a brain, who's got 2 arms, 2 legs, and has had a life stop you or prevent you from moving forward and prevent you from trying to be great. It doesn't matter whether you make it or not, from trying. And you're going to allow this person to stop you. I think that's something that I couldn't allow to happen. You know, if you look at my life and the way that I've taken my life into my own hands, I think it screams of a person that is not someone who's going to allow someone to stop me. And it was just that moment that I said to myself, I can't allow it. It doesn't matter who is this person that's going to stop me. I just won't allow it. And even though it was a good decision to make and the right decision, doesn't mean that it wasn't a hard decision.
Of course.
And yeah, it's just something that's had to happen.
So you spoke a little bit about your home life. Obviously, I've been very open and honest. Mine wasn't always easy because of some of the things that I was going through. What was the point where you're like, I need to leave? Was there
after the Olympics?
Sarah?
Going to the Olympics, I said I felt like my dad wasn't helping me. He wasn't. It was a very negative experience. I remember before the Olympics, there was a few things that happened. My brothers and sisters will know exactly what I'm talking about. And it was just a lot of horrible things. And I think the thing that was saddest is having to turn up at the gym, having to turn up at the Olympics, having to turn up, you know, around my other coaches, and everyone else is so excited. And I've got all these things in the back of my head, like a black cloud hanging over my head. And it's like the feeling, this dread that something terrible is going to happen. Every day you feel this horrible feeling, like a gut in the, genuinely, something terrible is going to happen. And and you just have to kind of shake it off and pretend that it's not there. And everybody else, it feels like it's just moving through life, and they got the support of this one, their mom, their dad, and I always felt like I didn't have that support. But yeah, obviously leaving, I still felt like I had that black cloud hanging over me for a little while, and it took a while to shake. But you know, it's not an instant thing that's gonna happen. It's a gradual thing, and it takes time. And when you surround yourself with people that you feel genuinely have your back, it's a good feeling.
That network and good people around you is so important. And you've left Southeast London now. You've gone up north.
Betrayed.
You've betrayed us. You've betrayed us.
No, it's closer to my gym. It's closer to where I train, and it makes the transport. Like I have 2 gyms where I go to, obviously my boxing session, and I train in St. Albans where I do my S&C. So it's right in the middle of that. So it makes it easier for me to get to and fro from both places.
That's good. And obviously with those clouds that you're talking about, they sort of left once you've removed yourself from that space. You feel that you start to feel a bit lighter over time?
Definitely. I think it takes a while, but you have to learn to stand on your own, and you have to learn to walk your own walk your own road. Like nobody's gonna pick you up and piggyback you there. You're gonna have to walk it. And a journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. And I think for me, that was the first step. Yeah,
and it's not easy. Like I think I can relate to that. Like everyone stayed somewhere for too long.
Definitely.
And
you're just delaying the inevitable. It's gonna happen. Like it's gonna happen. You just have to take courage and take your life into your own hands. I remember telling myself that I can't live my life and have regrets and feel angry at one person, and that person is no longer gonna be there. And then I'm like, who are you angry at? You're angry at yourself. And I don't want to feel that. You know, if I ever fail in life, and if I don't succeed, or if I don't do what I want to do, I want to be because of me, not because of somebody else.
That's powerful, very powerful, and I'm glad that you're feeling better. So our last question 5, is about like your biggest pivot moment, something that's completely changed the way you think or you do something. So I know we spoke about 2 massive things already with the Olympics and then leaving that home, which was quite tough for you. But is there anything else that's happened in your career or your personal life that's really changed who you are?
I think since moving out, I've been blessed. It's been crazy because there's a lot of moments that I think, this is God's intervention, this is things happening. And luckily, I've been able to meet some very good people in my life that have talked to me about things and have explained things from a different perspective and opened up and just given me a different narrative. And it's very hard to walk through life as a young kid, 19, 20, wherever the age is, and have to figure things out on your own. And it's very important to have people older than you, preferably, who have more wisdom, different outlook, and can give you a different look in life and explain things from a different perspective. And luckily, these last few years, I've met, a few people, not too many, but people who have given me that look, who have given me that different perspective. And I would like to, one day thank them personally, but they've given me different looks and explained things that have helped me to get through life. Like there's been hard days where you go into the gym and you just feel so alone, so like by yourself, like you haven't got anyone on your back and supporting you, and it can be very hard, but you just got to keep moving, keep going forward. And being able to meet these kind of people has been very good because they have given me like a different perspective and helped me grow as a person and as a character, and like explain things for me that's like, that's why I feel that way, that's why this has happened, and it's for the best. It's just a process. One of my favorite animes is Avatar: The Last Airbender, I guess, but there's this scene where 2 characters are walking through the tunnel, and he's like, you don't stop when you're in the tunnel, you stop when you get to the other side. And there's no point stopping right now when you're feeling like in the pain. You got to keep walking through it, keep pushing through whatever it is you're feeling, because eventually you're going to get to the end of the tunnel.
I like it. We're shouting out anime.
I know, we're throwing it way back.
Shouting out anime.
Yeah.
You spoke about a few people. Is there any bit of advice that someone's given you or something you can think about that's that's really helped you. I mean, I don't want to rob things from anime, but I feel
know.
like this is an opportunity to shout someone out. And
I mean, I think the person wouldn't want me to like explicitly name their names or whatever, but you know, there's been a few times where I go over to them and they've sat me down and you know, they just say like, I think not holding on to things in the past. What's happened has happened, and you just have to keep going. And as cliche as it sounds, like eventually you're gonna have to obviously sit in whatever it is that you're feeling and get through it. But right now, what's important is chasing your goals, chasing your dreams. Right now, they take prime importance. Looking after my family, my brother and sister, I feel like they are my responsibility. Looking after my mom, looking after these people, my brothers and sisters, these are my responsibilities. And when I get through that, when I hit that pinnacle, then we can deal with the other stuff.
okay, all right, I'm with you. And obviously, I'm taking you away from your training today. Very grateful. 'Cause you've got a big fight coming up.
Yes.
Is it 11th of January? Am I right?
Yeah.
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 How you feeling about that?
I feel good. I know everyone says it, especially in boxing, like this is the best camp they've had, but I genuinely feel like this is sparring 10 rounds, and I just feel great. I'm excited. Fighting January 11th is going to be my first defense of the WBC title. That's going to be the next step, and I can't wait for that. You know, I'm excited, very excited. There's a lot for me to do, and I just have to keep stepping over the hurdles that are in front of me. Right now, the hurdle is January 11th. My opponent, Jessica Kamara, she's tough, durable, but I've got more than that, and I can't wait to display that.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. And me and Mum are definitely coming to watch you live when we can.
Yes.
We're looking forward to it. Mm-hmm. But we have no doubt that you'll get the job done on January the 11th.
I appreciate that.
And thank you so much for coming in. So the last bit of the show has been excellent having you on. How you feeling? You all right?
Yeah, I feel good. Thank you.
Is a sign off. So if there's only one person watching at home, which there definitely will be because my mum will be watching this, but what I try and get my guests to do is leave any of the viewers at home with one quote, one saying, one bit of advice that could help make their day just 1% better whenever they watch this.
One bit of advice. I feel like I've given loads of quotes.
Yeah, you have. You've given loads.
But I would say keep dreaming big, and the only person that's going to make them dreams a reality is you.
Nice. That's a perfect ending. And I'll end with giving you some flowers. Obviously, I walked into school as a 23-year-old, very nervous young man, and you were the oldest student, one of the oldest students there, and now you sit before me that age, and I'm just so proud of everything you've come, even with what's going on in the background, as you said, maybe not necessarily having the support network that you want, but what you've achieved is incredible. And coming where we come from, like, I have to give you your flowers, and I can't wait to watch you continue to grow into the woman that you're becoming. And I know there's a lot more to come.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
But thank you so much for coming on. This is like the pinnacle of any teacher's life. This is what they want, like a student that they've worked with that's doing so well, and they get to come back and chop it up about it. So thank you for making my day.
No, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And good luck on January 11th.
Of course, thank you.
Thank you so much.
That's cool.